The day is July 9th, 1993. What should have been a normal day in Kentucky turns out to be the start of your new life. You find yourself in your house, with nothing but the clothes on your back and whatever is nearby. Not knowing of the situation, you turn on the TV.
This is Triple N. The outbreak of the non-lethal Knox event infection is still contained. There is no word of illness and confusion outside the event zone. There is, however, a panic. There is fear in people's faces as they once again camp out in school halls, trailers, and army tents. It's more than 2 days now since these people heard the voices of many of their families, loved ones, and friends.
They could be dead in there. Sure, power and water are still on, but what if they're too sick to eat? I got told they've got scientists in there talking to them. Guy said, there's no way they're going hungry in there, but all we have is the word of these dudes with guns. Where the hell's the president in all this? He should be down here with me in this damn tent.
It's a sad state of affairs down there. Back after these messages on Triple N.
Confused by what you saw on the TV, you decide to look outside. That's when you see it. This creature you see outside is neither alive or dead. It is an abomination to life itself. It is a zombie. You crouch down and hobble your way back to the TV.
Good morning. This is Triple N. The Knox event exclusion zone is still in place. Officials remaining silent on the impact of the outbreak. Described as non-lethal with symptoms of panic and confusion. Christy Cormick is in Kentucky.
A strange scene here south of Louisville. Roads blocked by military vehicles. Barriers and fences once intended for use overseas. Deployed around a no-go area deep inside Kentucky. And dead in the center. The small towns of Muldrock and West Point, and the bases and training facilities of the Army itself. I'm here in camp of displaced families, and they're angry.
We just want to go home. That's all. Why can't we talk to them?
What's the worst thing they could do? Cut off the phone lines? Do they want us to panic?
Just let me talk to my son.
Military officials have told us to expect a full statement this afternoon. Until then, this is Christy Cormick of Triple N on the Knox event line.
Thank you, Kirsty. Now, amidst angry scenes in Washington and a storm of Republican protest, we are expecting word from the president following crisis meetings with experts from the Center for Disease Control at the White House. More developments as they happen on Triple N.
You're scared. You're trapped. But banging on the window snaps you back to reality. You arm yourself with a nearby weapon and brace yourself for wherever may come. As the zombie breaks through the window, you quickly smash its brains in, killing it. You're filled with relief, knowing that you may have a chance in this new world, when suddenly, more start pouring into your house. First one, then two, then too many to count. You're surrounded. This is how you died. These are the haunting words that Project Zomboid are built on. Project Zomboid is an isometric zombie survival game that finds you surviving the early days of the apocalypse. However, in this oversaturated genre, Project Zomboid is one of the best zombie games on the market. It can hold such a strong title due to its brutal realism, its strong and active community, and its deep moral questions brought up by the game. I'm Enrique Borgia, and yes, we all dress like this in the apocalypse, and I want to talk to you a little bit about one of my favorite games. A big part of games being popular is in part thanks to escapism. The zombie genre in a large is filled with games of awesome badasses who can kill a whole wave of zombies in a blink of eyes. So, in a genre that is inherently escapist and fake, Project Zomboid is a breath of fresh air. But what makes Project Zomboid so realistic, I hear you asking? Well, Project Zomboid has so many systems built into the core identity of the game, it's hard to really say any one system. The Project Zomboid Wiki helps break it down into 7 core systems, such as crafting, skills, player, world, AI, other, and modding, and really, each of those systems have way more you could talk about.
It's hard to pin any one system thanks to making the game realistic, but rather it is how these systems work together to make dynamic and unique problems and answers. Take for example, you're faced with a locked door. In many games, that would just be a locked door, it'd be the end of it, but in Project Zomboid, you'd have so many different solutions, such as breaking it down with a sledgehammer, disassembling the bolts with a hammer and screw, or one of my personal favorites is bringing a microwave into the building, putting metal in said microwave, setting on fire, and melting the door down. And it is thanks to these problems, as putting the metal in the microwave, that shows the unique scenarios and answers that any player can solve. However, it is these systems too that will bring about players' undoings. I myself can recount a time where I went to loot a nearby building. However, I left a radio on in my own house. So by the time I came back to my base, the radio drew in a huge horde of zombies that I was forced to deal with, and ultimately I succumbed to. But how does Project Zomboid compare to other games that aren't as realistic? And is that exactly a good thing? Well, I believe yes. By having such depth and unique systems, Project Zomboid is able to create unique gameplay. Let's compare it to one of my other favorite games, Dying Light, a zombie game, that puts focus on a parkour style gameplay. No matter how cool the parkour in Dying Light is, at the end of the day, you have a finite number of solutions to your problem, while a game like Project Zomboid can have infinitely many. It is a system that pushes a player to outsmart the zombies, as you alone can barely take on more than one zombie at once, which makes you think in a way that no other game is really pushing you to in the genre. Ultimately, the systems in Project Zomboid on board make the player perform a tightrope act that they must balance, pushing their character as far as they can while risking their life and hours of real-world time. Another thing that makes a game feel so realistic is its vibe and the world it creates. You really feel like it's the apocalypse, with crashed cars lining the streets, buildings being fortified, in an overwhelming sense that this is the end. The game does a really good job on selling you to its aesthetics. The player character in Project Zomboid is also one of the most realistic in the zombie genre. While they say no lines, they act very human. They get stressed, tired, overwhelmed, depressed, and all at the same time, they keep going. Well, yes, it is in part being controlled by the player, it makes it believable, as we all have forces pushing us when we don't want to do anything. Another thing that this player character is affected with is the permadeath system. Now, for those unfamiliar, a permadeath system means that once your character dies, they're gone forever. And I believe in a world that is telling you this is the end, giving you no second chances, really pushes the player to be the true zombie machine that they can be. The best part of any multiplayer game is its community. So in joining a game, a strong drawing point can be its community for many players. Project Zomboid has a rich player base and dedicated people working on it and modding it outside of the creators. For example, according to Steam Charts, a website dedicated to tracking a game's player base, Project Zomboid has an all-time peak of 65,000 players and currently sits around 26,000 players on average. The large player base is split among many servers, and some even opt to play with themselves or with a small group of friends. And in part, thanks to the developers themselves, who offer a special bundle if you want to buy the game with friends. Another thing that keeps the community together is the mods. Whenever a game gets boring or lacks content updates, mods can help keep the game alive. There are over 30,000 mods in Project Zomboid, all of varying quality. However, what I think separates the Project Zomboid team from other games of moddable standards is how the devs themselves react to the mods. See, tragically, not too long ago, a popular modder from the game passed away at a unreasonably young age. The devs honored him by making a popular in-game location named after him. And this isn't just a one-time scenario. Many times they have gone out of their way to name popular locations after modders or figureheads in the community. which help foster such a kind community that Project Zomboid has. In all this talk, we have yet to mention YouTubers or devs with such a wide player base. Well, you compare this to other games that are filled with like toxic hate and a whole bunch of nastiness. Project Zomboid truly can be a breath of fresh air in such a gaming atmosphere. However, Project Zomboid isn't for everyone. I won't be sitting here and lying to you. The game is isometric, so you're looking up at a bird's eye view, which some people can find jarring, and I myself was one of those people in the beginning. But another thing is, this game is hard. Many Steam reviews denote that this game could be unfair or unreasonable, and I truly believe that this isn't true, but everyone's entitled to their own opinion, so... But if you aren't a crying, sniffling child who can't handle new things, then I do encourage you to try Project Zomboid. Because that brings me to my last and most favorite point, the philosophy of Project Zomboid. I think the best part about Project Zomboid is the deep thoughts that this game can ask the player. To be alone is defined by Merriam-Webster Dictionary as separated from others, isolated. This feeling is perfect in a zombie game. Wandering through the empty world of Project Zomboid feels scary. Even if you play on one of the sandbox mode in which zombies don't even spawn, there's a lingering feeling of, where is everyone? That question, as of now, isn't answered, and I hope it never is. Since you're one of the only people left, you have to specialize in almost every skill available just to have a chance at surviving. It pushes you to become a walking machine, no better than those zombies by now you would have killed hundreds of, all just in an attempt to survive one more day. It forces you to wonder, are you really surviving? Or are you just staying alive? And is there a difference? In the world of Project Zomboid, it's hard to say there is. When your life could mean ended by just a simple mistake, it's hard to push yourself. But yet we do. And why is that, I wonder? Not too long ago, there was a meme called The Indomitable Human Spirit, and basically the gist of it was a human, or these aliens kidnapped a human, and the aliens were scared of the person because he was able to push himself to go through whatever hell they put him through. I believe Project Zomboid can bring out that indomitable human spirit in all of us. And I know it's a silly thing to say because it's a zombie game, but I think it acts as it makes me think personally, if you were bit by a zombie, what would you do? Would you spend the last of your days going out in a blazing glory, showing the zombies who have pushed you to your edge what you truly can do? Or would you give up and just admire the little time you have left? Either way, the choice, it's fully up to you. Project Zomboid is able to create one of the best zombies experiences on the market because of its realism, its strong active community, and the philosophical questions that this game is built on. The Indie Stone is a company worth supporting. They're a small team, and they've been working on this game for years in order to push out a product that is satisfactory for both you and the market. I strongly urge you to give it a try if you are able to get the chance. The game goes on sale often. It costs around $10 on the holidays, and it's just wonderful. But I think it would be disingenuous for me to give this whole speech and not to re-insist that at the end of the day, it's all your choice. Should add cherry coke to Project Zomboid. That's what they should add.